uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son, actions over words, baby boy, is you real or what? Talking way too much, world come back sports, talking way too much, world come back sports, talking way too much, world come back
Hey, shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game, A-Side official. No negotiation needed, period. You already know WCS first in the building. Salute to everyone that is on deck. I'm coming on for a short live. I was just over there watching Tough Glove Boxing. I felt like it was a very solid point. You know what I'm saying? And when you get information or educate, I always tell you that it's no problem when you learn something new from somebody. You know, you show them, you know, the respect that this is where I got it from. It seems like that is not infectious when it comes to the YTC. You know, I don't talk numbers. I don't. It's not like I'm uneducated about certain numbers, but this is pretty simple. And shout out to Tough Glove Boxing, man, for its live stream. So I said, man, that's interesting to talk about, you know, on top of some other topics. You know, I'm gonna speak on it. Because if you notice, I haven't really did any lives really on Devin or Bill Haney. I just haven't. So I wanna first by going through some simple definitions, okay? Not definitions to treat you like I'm the teacher and you the student. Go through some definitions so we can both kind of guide ourselves through this and kind of get a hold of a grasp of the what's really going on and how did it happen? How did this happen, man? How did this happen? As you're reading, okay, let me bring up the clean part. You know, this is what I snatched from Tough Gloves Live. Let me bring up the clean part. And let's read together. To engage in the bout. Number 48. I'm assuming this is out off the lawsuit of Devin Haney, who has entered legal adjudication for this matter. To engage in the bout, Devin Haney entered into contracts with Garcia Promoter, Golden Boy Promotion. Those contracts are annexed as Exhibit Charlie. Collectively, they provide that Haney, him being Devin Haney, is to receive 47%. 47%. Nice number, right? We're close. We're 3% off from 50, right? Right? That's good numbers. 47% of the net profit of the bout. The net profit, y'all. Just when I was getting all nice and cozy with that 47%, then it comes that net. The net is just goddamn the type of shit that just give you paper cuts, and you know, you might be getting your vitamin C up, and you didn't know the contract was fucking you up like that, and you up here peeling the orange. You say, "Oh shit, why my fingertips stinging like that?" That's what that net did to it. That net sliced you open with those little fine, naked to the visible eye type of cuts. Because we know what the net is. If you don't know what the net is, let's go through a little walk. What is the gross income? Okay. We're going to start with the gross, shawty. It say, what is the gross income? And this is just a broad definition. It says the gross income for an individual, also known as gross pay, when it's on a paycheck, is an individual's total earnings before taxes or other deductions. This includes income from all sources, not just employment, and is not limited to income received in cash. It also include property or services received. Now, this is just a broad inquiry into a search engine to give you a definition into what gross income is, right? Okay. What is net income? Net income refers to the amount, pay attention, an individual or business makes after deducting cost, allowances, and taxes. Let's reverse that. Taxes and allowances, deducting costs. The word that needs to stick you like a porcupine's ass is after. AFTER, after the porcupine done backed his ass up into you, and you got all these damn these spine you got to pull out and shit. After. Net income refers to the amount an individual or business make after deductions, costs, allowances, and taxes. In commerce, net income is what the business has left over after all expenses, including salary and wages, cost of goods for raw material, and taxes. For an individual, net income is the take-home money, okay? The take-home money after deductions for taxes, health insurance, retirement contributions. Net income should ideally be greater than the expenditure to be indicative of financial health. This is just a basic definition encompassing a simple search for a definition of gross and net. Gross, obviously, is what a fighter would love to see contractually before a fight that they're set to make. Gross income. Do you know how much the numbers are affected from gross to net? Do you know? Did you pay attention to the bottom half? It says Golovkin was entitled. Example, Golovkin was entitled to 45% of all gross revenue, y'all. Gate receipts, sponsorships, pay-per-view revenue, closed circuit television, international TV rights after Golden Boy received the first 2.5 million in net ticket revenue. Ooh, good Lord. The gross? Damn, who was negotiating Golovkin's contract? This is unbelievable, yo. Do you understand how Golovkin money is going to rain down on him? How Golovkin has been sitting up on his rocking chair feeling good? He has been feeling healthy because he has that monetary vitamin that says gross revenue. Hello, Mr. Golovkin. Have you had your one-a-day gross revenue vitamin? Your numeric balance is 62,480,000. house. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his freaking monetary value per his contract was unbelievable comparable to Team Haney. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Look, I have basically went against the grain outside of what my wheelhouse interest is. This is not my interest, when it comes to the wheelhouse of talking on the YTC. This is just not. But for this, I felt a little inclined to talk on it because I feel there's a lot more that went along with this heist. See, you've heard several times over, you know, where certain individuals believe, like Bill Haney believed that he had, he gives off the energy like he has it all figured out. And I would think individuals like Team Haney, they would have their I's dotted and T's crossed, dealing with paperwork such as this. That's just my opinion. I just think they would have been a bit more inclusive. You know what I'm saying? And their league was a bit more intimate with providing them with the front, the upper all the way down to the lower. You know what I'm saying? From the inception to the conclusion of their contractual details, line for line, to make sure they're not over. Now, who's to say this is something that they were screwed over from? Because you remember when Crawford and Spence was coming out in 22, Crawford had agreed to everything. And one of the agreements that stood out was he was willing to accept net pay, both him and Spence. They was willing to accept net pay and whatever other defined details that was internal to the agreement. All right. But from my understanding, this is this is potentially a big deal with them not paying attention to wording, language, because we all know when it comes to contracts, the language is everything. Don't just look at the number, but you have to read the language. The numbers are a part of the language, but also just a different type of word before those numbers can really change up the quantity or the payout or the compensation value internal to a contract. And this is perfect. You're looking at Haney to receive 47% of the net profit of the bout is unbelievable. We're talking about a balance of net and gross. Definitely gross is going to hold a heavier weight when it comes to what you're going to get paid overall. Now, did Ryan Garcia team, did they agree to the net pay too? You know what I'm saying? I haven't really, sent DMs out like some people to try to get a hold of this lawsuit. It's out there. I just don't want to talk about it. But like I said, I saw Tough Glove over there, and I said, you know what? Let me let me talk about it. Because I haven't really did no live stream on the Devin Haney situation. I just didn't care because I just felt like Tim Bradley. I put it out there before Tim Bradley. I felt like this wasn't a good look for Team Haney, and I feel like he's gonna face repercussion and consequences, down the line with people wanting to work with him. I don't expect, nor do I suggest that they're going to, get this huge amount of money on the back end that they can just sit out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is not going to be, when Bezos paid his wife. I mean, I seriously is, he paid her $34 billion, didn't he? And then he put a dent in his pocket. That's not about to happen in this case. Bear with me. I've been going through a throat, a little change of weather, whatever. But what do you think about that? Seeing that Golovkin and how his para is worded, I mean, it just sums it up on how much he's set to gross. Once Golden Boy receives the first 2.5 million in net ticket revenue, I mean, Golovkin is still getting paid. Look at the amount. Look at the many areas, so many variables that's gonna, produce that monetary fruit. God damn. Gate receipts, sponsorships, pay-per-view revenue, closed circuit television, international TV rights. Woo-hoo. His legal team was on point. But you say to yourself, net profit, him fighting Garcia, why would they have to fight for net profit? Is Garcia's freaking contract saying net, or does Garcia say gross? If anybody in the chat, if anybody in the chat could tell me, you know what I'm saying? Let me check the chat right quick. If anybody in the chat could tell me if Ryan Garcia's language says net opposite of gross, you know what I'm saying? Let me know. I would appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Blue in the building, man. What's good? What's good? The News by Shaw News Sauce Experience in the building. Team Tucker Fish on deck. What they do? He said, I want to be on record to say, the state, why you not suing Golden Boy if they owe you money? People was trying to insinuate that Golden Boy was also included in the lawsuit. I'm not sure. JD on deck. What's good? What up? What up? Conquest in the building. Net profits is after all expenses. Yeah, man. After all expenses, bro. You know what I'm saying? He said net versus gross. Got him. He said net versus gross. Got him. Hey, I want to ask y'all this question though. Speaking of got him, how can they be God? I'm just thinking. I'm like, you have the resources, man. You've been in this game for a long time. How can you be God with a net versus gross insertion in your contract? There's no way that you just could have seen the 47%. There's no way they sent you the last page of the contract, man, and say, just docu-sign this. No way. No way, bro. I'm not believing that when it comes to the Haneys. I'm not talking about Devin either. I'm talking about Bill. It's no way, man. It's no way. I believe Bill is your Devin's manager, right? If I'm correct. Who allowed this to happen? That's all. I'm not finger pointing. I'm just trying to gauge, how do I zoom in the optic? Who's taking responsibility? Who's liable? Who was negligent? Who is persistent with dereliction of duty? Somebody should be terminated ASAP if this wasn't supposed to be net profit. Because they was busy asking, hey, where's the rest of the money? So I'm assuming that both Ryan Garcia and Haney was asking about the money. But I want to know, what does Garcia para say? What does his say? Does it say gross or net? If Garcia say gross, I have no other words. And look, he ain't gonna be the only one talking about got him. Because if Garcia's language says gross and Haney said net, and all they was looking at was the 47%, that's negligence. That's negligence right there. It's no way you can recover from that, because you're talking about a substantial amount of money lost. But now you want to reroute. You want to reroute back to the rally point and say, I want to go to court because now I want to act like it's all about the Ostarine and everything. It's all about, Garcia being braggadocious. It's all about you taking punishment. So they're going to try to put this in the blender, y'all. They're going to try to say, yeah, it was supposed to be a fair fight, but he tested dirty. And with testing dirty, I suffered irreparable damage. And the judge should ask him, "Well, do you plan on ever boxing again?" Not at this point. Oh, so you're retired. You're done. You're being honest. You're done. As big as your name is, you're done. Based off this, and you went the distance. So let me ask you about the OC fair. Um, it seemed like you were still able to swing a nice little punch there. What do you have to say about that? We saw you in the bowling alley dancing. You good? Seem like you still know how to do the latest dance. You know what I'm saying? But you're retiring. You want to convince us that you're retiring because Ryan Garcia. Okay, I got you. I got you. Triple G man, it wasn't playing the gross. Yeah, it wasn't playing, bro. Look at that. Look at all the areas that they allowed that fruit to continue to produce juicy monetary freaking apples, oranges, pears. Look at that. Gate receipts, sponsorships, pay-per-view, closed circuit. Look, not even just closed circuit, but international TV rights, yo. Jesus Christ, they wasn't freaking playing. JD say, Oscar's going to be throwing in extra charges left and right. Yeah, and center. Yeah, for sure. For sure. But where is the person who allowed this net? If net is what the agreeable contractual, the contract is about, net. Is net supposed to be there? If you're in the chat, can anyone the other ones are open. If anybody can tell me if Ryan Garcia's language says gross or net. If Ryan Garcia's language says gross at 50%, 53%, wow. You talking about hoodwinked? You talking about bamboozled? How can this happen? Did Ryan Garcia pull off the most incredible freaking acting job ever in boxing? Was he acting so crazy that they was entirely focused on his buffoonery? That they wasn't paying attention to this? What matters? Look, I would think, right? I would assume Team Haney would have this on lock, being that they had to take little or nothing to go over there to Australia to fight George Kambosos twice. I was thinking that, okay, they're tired of playing catch up. And y'all remember WCS said that Haney, when I said that Haney should go to 140 if they're not going to give him a shot, he shouldn't stay here because he's consistently going to play catch up to Teofimo Lopez. At that point in time, that's what I thought. But lucky for Haney, Allah was on their side. God, Allah, whatever. The reason why I say that is because I tried to tell people that Kambosos was looking to face Lomachenko. And Lomachenko ended up going into his country to fight in combat. And that's how Devin got the position. Everything worked out. Became undisputed. And then, defended it. Defended again against Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? He got the job. When Lomachenko went over the war and didn't fight Kambosos, Devin got the slot. But with all that said, I assume that Team Haney had everything dialed in, calibrated. They know the system by now. They know how to negotiate contracts. Their legal team. I'm just in dismay to think that somebody allowed this to be net instead of gross. Didn't De La Hoya just say, if you want me to read the contract over to you, read it back over to you, I can. If Ryan Garcia's language said gross, man, this is one of the biggest acting jobs ever. Because in order for Ryan to be in that state of mind and to continue to, say and do and perform for the general public and have people talking and doing all these things, could it possibly have been that Team Haney wasn't focused on the contract the way they were supposed to? I mean, how can this be possible, yo? I don't get it. How can this even be possible? The gross income, if you look at this, it's the total on earnings. BEFORE. Sometimes before is so lovely rather than after, isn't it? Come on now. Isn't it? In this particular case, don't you love before? Before taxes. I hate that word right there. I hate it. That's just an ugly ass word right there, for real. TAXES. Don't you love before? Doesn't that tell you you're gonna have a larger sum in the pot before taxes? And then you got to come up here and you have to read AFTER. AFTER. And then you got them D and C words, deducting cost. Oh, we hate that. Could you imagine if we went to work and you didn't have any deductions? Could you imagine at the end of the year you didn't have to pay taxes, y'all? And then look at that, allowances and taxes. After, y'all, after this is one of those times where you don't want to be a part of the after. You want to be closely associated with the before. I'm just trying to bring some light to this, yo, because I just can't see how Team Haney will have this as an oversight. It's no way this could be an oversight. It's no way in hell that this could be an oversight. No way. No way, man. You can't convince me. Well, they supposed to get gross and they end up getting net. Maybe this was what they agreed upon. Like I said, I really don't get involved in this shit. But when I see Golovkin, it's almost like his legal team was over there with some halos levitating above their head. They was glowing when they came in there. They wasn't even walking on their own 2 feet. They was goddamn just levitating and moving slowly. They started the negotiations, and Team Golovkin, their legal team, they wasn't even sitting down. They was just levitating like angels. We don't need to take a seat. We're pretty much aware and very much versed in what we're looking for when it comes to our fighter Triple G, aka Gennady Golovkin. Let us see the paperwork now. Golovkin was making money off them so many variables, dude. The branches would never stop producing. International TV rights, closed circuit. I mean, where's all this language up top? I know this is only one square, but bear with me. This is crazy, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. And that's why I put legal disaster plan. Many people don't look at it as a legal disaster. But this is absolutely, if that shit was supposed to be gross and they were still hoping to see money and come to find out it was net, you know what I'm saying? Because pretty much when they do contracts, I don't know, this is Shaw News area. When they do contracts, they give you a copy, goddammit. They give you a copy. Once you all have basically reviewed it from top to bottom, you are provided a final copy, and that is your copy. If both copies say net profit, then I guess they're gonna say we're gonna lie heavy on the performance enhancing drugs, the amount of punishment that was delegated internal to the bout, and what they're trying to say after the bout that they face. What was the language they used? They face an astounding, or whatever the language, incredible amount of humility, or damage to their reputation and brand, all because of the way the fight turned out. I'm not wishing for anything. Like, I know Bradley has been on record as putting out what his language is. If you didn't know, um, Timothy Bradley says this. Timothy Bradley on Haney's lawsuit. This is Charmin soft. He said this is Charmin soft. You feel me? That's Timothy Bradley. He said it's Charmin soft, y'all. I kind of like that wordplay myself, because we all know Charmin is super soft. You know what I'm saying? Charmin is super soft. But hey, let's go through some required reading. This is Boxing News, 24. This is not the only outlet that I read, but they're so damn biased. That's why I like reading it. It says commentator Tim Bradley say Devin Haney is showing that he's Charmin soft with his decision to file lawsuit for battery, y'all, against Ryan Garcia for losing to him on April 20th. Ryan tested positive for the PED ostarine after, and was subsequently fined and suspended for 1 year by the New York State Athletic Commission. Bradley disagrees with Haney's path to deal with the aftermath of his defeat against Garcia. He feels that the better approach would have been to focus on a rematch and show that he could turn things around in a second fight. It sound like what I said. It sounds like exactly what I said. You should focus on where the money at. You should then just drop this lawsuit and say, you know what, I want a rematch. That's where I'm gonna make my money at. Let's go into negotiations. But somebody's telling them that this is the route they should take. Hey, the attorney's always gonna tell you. As long as you pay that retainer fee, hey, the attorney's gonna tell you what you need. Yeah, we got a case. Of course you got a case. Look at it this way. It goes on to say, if Ryan's win last April was due to his ped use and coming in 3.2 pounds overweight at the weigh-in, Haney should be able to defeat him in a rematch if he's clean and on weight. However, the decision by the 25-year-old Haney to sue, he's lost the opportunity to fight Ryan again, and the other top fighters could ostracize him. That leaves Haney only chance for mega money on his lawsuit, and he might lose. It says next, softest stuff I ever seen in my life. This is Charmin soft. Take your butt whooping like a man, said Tim Bradley to Pro Box TV, reacting to Devin Haney suing Ryan Garcia for battery, fraud, and unjust enrichment. Let me repeat: battery, fraud, and unjust enrichment. You know what I'm saying? Those are three areas, man, that when it comes to boxing, people really gonna, put their index finger on their forehead, like they're Malcolm in the window, and they're gonna say, this is gonna be a long one right here. This is gonna be long, man. For real, this is gonna be detrimental, destructive. You know what I'm saying? Battery, fraud, and unjust enrichment. Unjust enrichment, y'all. Not just any enrichment, unjust enrichment. You know, let me go over here and use my search engine qualifications. The definition for unjust enrichment is a term used to describe a situation wherein one party benefits at the other party's expense. In a situation the law considers to be unjust, unjust enrichment is usually used to describe benefits that are received either accidentally or in error, but which have not been earned and ethically should not be kept. So let me assume what they're saying. All right. Per the unjust enrichment definition, benefits that are received either accidentally or in error. So we know none of what Garcia received, what Devin Haney received, no, what Ryan Garcia received was accidental or an error. Point being is, if they want to say that he was paid and he the one popped positive, but yet he was still paid. Or they may look at it like Ryan popped dirty and they're going for a percentage of his purse because it wasn't a fair fight. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a fair fight, so he never should have got paid. We deserve a percentage of his purse. That's going to get very interesting because he is suspended and he had to pay a fine to Golden Boy. Now, depending on whoever the legal team is, I even said this myself. I wasn't quite sure as to why the promoter who is in charge of the fighter was paid $1 million+ for the fine. And, I would assume in good faith that Devin Haney would have received that forfeiture pay from Ryan Garcia. That's what I would assume. I would have assumed he would get that forfeiture pay, that penalty. But hey, it is what it is. They're gonna have to figure it out. But do y'all agree with Tim Bradley, the hottest chat in the MF game? Do y'all agree what he said? It goes on to say fans on social media do not agree with Haney's decision to sue, and they feel that he should have taken a rematch. Ryan was willing to give Haney a second fight until he initiated the lawsuit, but that's not longer an option. He says he's not going to give Haney a rematch now. Now, this is what I'll say about Ryan. I think he's just talking right now. Look, how much money and how much attention do you think that rematch will get once this lawsuit is over? Shit. More than you can imagine. More than you can imagine. And Ryan Garcia can talk all this, but he's right where he wants to be. You know what I'm saying? He's right where he wants to be. He's in the middle of the fucking garden and he's sowing. You know what I'm saying? He's sowing what he wants, what he wanted all this time, playing the fool, acting the fool, being a fool. He's right where he wants. In the middle of controversy. He wanted to be in the middle of the motherfucking storm. He's there. He still can give the rematch. People will love to see it. See, I think you're letting Devin off if you say you don't want the rematch because he's suing you. You're letting him off the hook. Because if he go in there for the lawsuit and then you say, I'm going to still give you the rematch just to show that I can beat you, and you go in there and beat him, Devin's done. He's done. It's going to take him a minute to recover from all this freaking legality and going up there saying it was battery, unjust enrichment, fraud. You know what I'm saying? The article goes on to say he signed the contract. Got the extra money for the extra weight and got the O back on his record. What else do you want? Bradley continued, referring to the money Ryan Garcia paid Haney for missing weight by coming in at 143.2 pounds for their fight on April 20th. What more do you want? Y'all remember that? Tyrese, what more do you want from me? I mean, come on now. It goes on to say, now you sue Ryan for battery? It's a boxing match. You got to keep that right hand at home. You didn't do that. You fought the wrong game plan. Ooh. There's a storm going in on their ass tactically. Tactically. Goddamn, the troops are on the move. Anything that deters guys, even if it's a little bit, I'm for it, said Paulie Malignaggi, who is on the side of Haney in his decision to file a lawsuit against Garcia. So Paulie Malignaggi, he's on board with, the legal enforcement that's going on here with Team Haney. If Haney does win a large settlement of tens of millions, it could deter other fighters from using Pez, but it might not. There's too much to gain for fighters with lesser ability to keep them from using Pez. All they need is one big money fight to set them up for life with millions. If performance enhancing drugs will help those fighters get the retirement payday, they're continuing to use. So that's where we at with Timothy Bradley feeling the way he feel about the actions taken by Team Haney. I already mentioned how I feel. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying in a sense, they can do what they want. If they want to take it to court, they can do what they want. My concern really is how is it going to look him moving forward? Because I heard you say that everything has to be right. I don't understand what that means if the fighter is going to go through drug testing like he did, prior to April 20th. He's going through drug testing. And then what more do you want? You're going to be fighting at a higher weight class. It's pointless to fight anywhere close to 145. Y'all should both fight at 147 and call it a day. I mean, that's the extent of it. Now, when it comes to this legal terms right here, if that's indeed a part of this that's motivating you all to go to court because you found out that you was receiving net profit, and then they're looking at Eddie Hearn. Tough Glove was making some solid points over there about Eddie Hearn, how Devin Haney, didn't sign with him to fight, a couple of fights that he could have. And, they were seen out there going back and forth with one another. Hey, hey, you know how that is. You're not going to play Eddie Hearn like that, yo. You're not going to get Eddie Hearn to babysit you. And it's nothing in it for him. That's a made man right there. You know what I'm saying? That's a made man. You got Barry Hearns. He wasn't in a position for no reason. Eddie Hearns is a made man in the business. Just like Mauricio Suleiman. They're not going to go up here and chaperone you. They're not going to go up here and work for free. Yeah, he probably feels some type of way that you didn't sign with him for a couple of fights. And he could have helped you. He could have went in and negotiated properly for you so you wouldn't be going through this situation. Man, it seems like there needs to be some organization. That's all. I don't really suggest people should fire in this case just because they're going to court. They need to figure it out. Seriously. Because I remember when Team Haney was also, supposedly, allegedly going to take some action with Mauricio Suleiman, the WBC, all pertaining to the franchise belt. You know what I'm saying? All dealing with the franchise belt on, the franchise champion having no obligations whatsoever to fight the champion that's in the sanctioning body. You know what I'm saying? So it was a designation belt. And yeah, that was a whole nother story. But this is becoming messy. And Ryan Garcia, if you're out there listening, I would truly suggest that you fight Devin Haney, even if he loses the lawsuit. Fight him. Because if he loses the lawsuit, Ryan, and you put it out to the media that you want to fight him anyway, even though he sued him, don't let look, you gotta understand where you at, Ryan. Yes, you have a larger following than Haney, but you have to go back to the ring because so many people are invested in this story now. A lot of people are paying attention to this. Fight him even if he loses. Fight him even if he wins. Because guess what? Either way, you have an opportunity that's going to benefit you to prove everybody that you're the better fighter. It's going to be up to Haney to prove that he is indeed correct, that Osterring was giving you the enhancements. And like he said, the war, he said, you do everything better. You do everything better. But just like Timothy Bradley just mentioned, you got to keep the right hand up, man. You got to keep the right hand up. If Floyd Mayweather is going up here giving tutorials and talking about what's amateurish and what's professional, I mean, dude, you got hit with the left hook early in the fight. Early. That's all I'm saying, man. So y'all two young bulls, think about that. Y'all should fight regardless how it plays out, because there's money there. Not every fighter has a backstory with this much content in boxing. It's not that many fighters that have this much going on. You all have a lot going on. I'm telling you, you all have a lot of content to this reality that you're going through with boxing. This is as real as it get in boxing. You have the lead up, the fight week. You have all the damn trash talking. You have the shoving back and forth. You know what I'm saying? You have the verbal threats. You have the acting going on with Ryan Garcia about crazy and him drinking and smoking and all that shit. You have everything for a nice storyline. You have the actual fight and how it played out. You know what I'm saying? The aftermath of the fight. All the freaking podcasting. Man, y'all would be a fool to let this just go to the waste. You know what I'm saying? Just put it to bed. You'll be a fool to do that because it's money. Even with Ryan Garcia, bro. Do you know what this will do to your career? Both of y'all. He goes in there and beat Devin a second time. It's over. Devin go in there and beat Garcia in a rematch. Hey, now you're looking at a trilogy. Exactly what WCS was talking about. These fighters don't really, have the sense of urgency or eagerness to have a trilogy. It's money in a trilogy. Fight fans are not all about ethics. What is ethically right. What deals with principles and shit. This is boxing. These fans are somewhat just like the sport. They some grimy, unscrupulous fools too. They're disloyal. One fight they supporting the fight, and the next they criticizing and dogging them out. So they love a backstory like this. So give them what they want, man. That's all I'm saying. Give them what the frick they want. Give them what they want. Gross revenue on net profit, big difference. Devin and Bill should have included Eddie. He would have allowed that to happen. He wouldn't have allowed that to happen, in my opinion. I agree with that, man. I agree. Eddie Hearns definitely would have been on par with that. You know what I'm saying? He would have been on par with that. It's definitely, they wouldn't have let this slide. And I'm curious to know what Ryan Garcia's freaking take is on this. You know what I'm saying? Eddie would never allow this to happen. Should have paid Eddie pennywise and pound foolish, as we say in UK. Yeah, I don't know if they have already signed with Eddie before or whatever, had some fights under his charge Why wouldn't you return? What did you think was wrong? Like, why wouldn't you get somebody that's experienced another big fight in your career? You know what I'm saying? This is another big fight. What happened? Did he get ahead of himself, Team Haney? Because they got slammed with the Aussie double, didn't get paid what they would like, and then they got the Lomachenko fight, and then you come up here and fight Ryan Garcia after you fought Regis Progress. You obviously have much more, a higher pedestal of accolades, you know what I'm saying, than Ryan Garcia. And this goes down. I mean, like, what were you expecting? You still got the lower percentage. What happened? Who wasn't paying attention? That's my biggest question. Who wasn't paying attention, bro? Shout out to Gary in the building. Salute to you. Shout out to the OG Bruce Gas Boxer Jazz. I'm on deck. What it do, man? Barry Hearn is a chartered accountant and taught Eddie the business. Bill thought he was saving money, but looks like he was losing money on the grand scale by not including Eddie. Oh, man. Did they lose some money? Whoo. Hey, we can say this is knowing your alphabets. Because G come before N, goddammit. Hey, G come before N. Shit. This is a moment where you want to be alphabetically educated. Gross before net. I would love to see gross, in my paperwork, goddammit. Just like Gennady Golovkin. 3 G's. Gennady Golovkin added a 4th. Gross. Oh, man, shout out to Triple G. Shit, Triple G sitting back there like a motherfucker smoking on a cigar. Yeah. I remember that right there. I'm still living very lavish off that contract. One of many, of course. One of many, you know what I'm saying? But let me get back to doing me in my retirement. I'm good. Best wishes to the Haneys. Pay more attention next time. That's what Triple G said. Too late to plug up the holes in the contract. You think it's a hole in the contract? Nah, I think they missing some. I hope they missing some pages of the contract. I hope it's 45 and it jumps to 53. That was inclusion 48. If you look at it, so hopefully this page 48. This part they never really received. They don't have a copy. It's no evidence that they received the final copy. So hopefully they can push that in court and say, hey, Your Honor, to be honest with you, absolutely honest, because we feel like we was a part of the biggest fraud negotiations ever. I want to blame Eddie Hearn. I want to blame Oscar. I want to blame everybody. What about your legal team? Did they? What was the? Well, we're gonna talk. We talked about that in private. You know what I'm saying? I'm cutting their pay. Nah, that's not how that works, sir. That's not how that works. Not in this case, sir. Not in this case. You can't sit up there and say you're gonna, reprimand your legal team. If you were supposed to come here and you're supposed to been operating off gross pay, you know what I'm saying? And net clear as day. They don't even have the same amount of characters now. Net, small little itty bitty word. And y'all didn't see it. It just slip past your eyes, your visual. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, yo. We don't know if Golden Boy had a clause in the contract saying if anyone pops dirty, they get paid money from their purses. Good point. Good point. You know what I'm saying? Good point. But look, what if what you just mentioned, if anyone pops dirty, they get paid? that would basically coincide with Ryan Garcia you're speaking on, right? That wasn't too much. I don't know how it would be. Like, would it be strictly for Golden Boy, for the fighter who popped dirty? Because in that case, then it makes all the sense in the world that Ryan Garcia paid the $1 million fine, right? That would exclude Devin because he was clean. You know what I'm saying? So good point with that. Good point. Good point with that. It's always great to be educated. Anyone who don't acknowledge an educational moment, they're unwilling to learn. And they're selfish for not praising who they learn from. In order for anybody to improve their intellectual depth of knowledge, you have to learn somehow, some way. I know people love to say, well, I was self-taught. Yeah, you should be self-taught. You have to teach yourself as you learn from others. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Ryan could be in trouble in court over unjust enrichment like Lance Armstrong was. This outcome could set a precedent for boxing if Devin is successful. So I'm just want to be clear. You're saying Lance Armstrong cheating as many times as he did. This is Ryan Garcia's first, time popping dirty, which you have to understand Lance Armstrong was willingly doping. And there's nothing to prove that Ryan Garcia intentionally, knowingly doped. Lance Armstrong intentionally doped. That's all I'm saying. It was intentional. All those Tour de France he was winning, it was intentional. What's going on? Alvarez on deck. That's a good point. Why the hell was Devin crying at Hearn recently when he didn't want his help for the fight? Good question. You know what I'm saying? Toby made a good point. You know what I'm saying? You didn't use the man. So you can't. I don't know what people think, man. Like Hearn is a made man, right? So just to think that Devin said he was a fake ass nigga, right? I'm saying to myself, is this the only time that you're gonna need Eddie? Because Eddie don't seem like he's going anywhere anytime soon. And yes, at one point in time, I didn't have anything good to say about him. But more and more you learn about the sport, he's no different than a lot of other people in his position on how they act and how they do business. But with that said is, if you didn't want to sign to Eddie Hearn for this fight, and you're going over to a fight that he's at, and you want to say, I'm here, can I get a ticket or whatever the case may be, and you all have a back and forth privately, forget, what the film, what the recording says, of them talk. We really didn't hear the audio. But to take to social media, these guys are going to learn the hard way. For real, these guys are going to learn the hard way, yo. You're going to learn. You can't sit up here and call somebody like anybody and say they're a fake ass nigga and expect to do business with them, in the future. I mean, you must have it all figured out that Eddie Hearn is not going to be a part of boxing. Like, you're in your 20s. You think for the next 10 years that you're never going to have to cross paths with Hearns ever again? You may have to sign with him again. Man, come on, bro. Why am I sitting up here explaining this shit? Eddie said Devin has become arrogant in recent years and is not the nice young man he used to be. I mean, that happens with age, Toby. Some people grow up to be assholes. Boxing is a dirty game. So if Devin grew up and he's been around the game so long, like I always say, I can't really speak on a man's ego, especially if it's not affecting me. The way Devin is acting, he's growing up, he's getting older, he got a child now. He's had bigger fights in his career, outside of the Yorkis Gamboa fight. So he's grown in the sport. He's grown as a person. So, these fighters, there's some out there that can be assholes, man. I ain't gonna lie. I ran into them. I ran into some that just don't give a fuck. They don't care who you are. They feel like you ain't holding no mitts for me. You're not doing anything. They don't care if you was in the military, you know. But the way I look at it is from a military standpoint, is that you may think you're getting over on somebody at one duty station, which I would say, let's say a duty station can be a promotion and you have a certain amount of fights there. And so you PCS from that. That means you leave that promotion and you go somewhere else. You think you're just gonna shit all over everybody at the promotion that you was just at because you're going to another one. No, it's not gonna happen because they're gonna make some phone calls and they're gonna start plotting and scheming too. It happens. We see it going down right now. You know what I'm saying? We see it happen. The ones who do the right thing, you know what I'm saying? If you're gonna, feel some type of way about a promotion, make it seem like it's not personal. Make it seem like it's business. But when you call somebody a fake ass nigga, they gonna take that personal. Because if Eddie was if Eddie was to say Devin was a fake ass nigga, they'd be trying to goddamn cancel him all over the place. They'll be trying to say, no, he no longer represent us and all this other shit. But you just gonna put up here and say, so and so a fake ass nigga. Okay, I get where you at. It's been white people that's been called that and all that. I get it. But you're in a business, you're young in the sport of boxing, and you do what you got to do, bro. I think you should just be focusing on rematching Garcia because it's about to be 2025 in 3 months. And a lot of boxing fans will love to be going through the new year knowing that they got a big fight on the horizon, just like Crawford Spence was from 22 to 23. We knew the fight was going to go down in 23. We just didn't know the date. And then when they finally dropped the date, guess what? People got excited. People start going up here talking their shit. Even though some people was talking some bullshit, they was talking their shit. Seriously. Lance intentionally did it, but we don't know if Ryan did it on purpose. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Lance intentionally. I used to follow Lance Armstrong, all that, in this Tour de France. I love watching shit like that. But he went down the way he did, just like a lot of people, that was in that scandal, because they intentionally was doping, and it was a record of it. With Ryan, it's no record. It's just the fact that he was suspended for a year, and when that year's up, all he has to do is submit for his license. He'll get it, and he'll go back to work. He said he might even fight overseas in an exhibition bout or something like that. I mean, Ryan can make money like that. I just don't want to hear some of these content creators talking some bullshit like I'm the only one that said that it's not a good look and he should focus on fighting Ryan Garcia in a rematch. This is the optimum time for these two to focus, because really no other fighter really has this type of energy going on when we're talking about rivalry. You know what I'm saying? The Crawford Spence situation was supposed to be a rivalry, but Crawford went in there and terminated him. This right here, people see it as the same way, but the results was clouded because of Osterine. So why wouldn't you want to go back in there? Just like the Canelo and Golovkin fight. Yes, it was a draw in the first fight. Then Canelo popped dirty, and the rematch was postponed a little bit. They went back in there. It was a hell of a freaking rematch. And then 7 fights later, Canelo even gave him a trilogy. Come on, bro. Nobody wanted to see that damn trilogy. Canelo had umpteen amount of fights after that. And then, furthermore, Golovkin had never left 160. So not only did he give him a trilogy, but Golovkin had moved up to 168 just to lose. You know what I'm saying? But they do have a trilogy between one another. A lot of these fighters don't even have a rematch with one another. They just one and done, one and done. Forget about the money. Well, this is the perfect opportunity for these to make it happen. That's all I'm gonna say. And to close this out, I want to just briefly mention this about Tio, right? This is my deal on this cat. I told you all already that he was trying to go behind Ryan Garcia. I know Tio has his cheerleader out there rooting and just cheering, for you to somehow get Crawford attention. Crawford video with the interview that Bernie the Boxer did, shout out to Bernie the Boxer, that's pretty much making his circulation. It went semi-viral. People are talking about it. Why? Because they want to hear Crawford talk. They want to hear what's next. They want to know what's going on with the Fundora situation. They want to know who he fighting next. Real talk. His fans want to know. So I think that was a perfect time for Bernie the Boxer to come out. But check this out, though. Teofimo is happy that Crawford mentioned his name. And people can take it how they want it, right? And say that what Crawford mentioned about if he would have said the monkey situation or referred to somebody in a racist way, that he'd be canceled. And if somebody's calling bullshit on that, then you full of shit, because there is some certain situations. Hold on for a second. Okay. As I was saying, this is my thought process, not the retread on information that I talked about early, but this is my take on, his name being mentioned, that people believing that if it would have been a black fighter saying that, then, it probably would have been. Every fighter has to weigh the, you have to weigh everything when it comes to something that's extremely controversial. You have to assess the damages. And sometimes it's better to do that before you actually commit that, which is going to be controversial. I said that Teofimo is trying to follow behind Ryan Garcia. He's seen Ryan Garcia that's out here, saying what he's saying that he was intoxicated. And you already know the whole story. Tio's not understanding why a fighter that has accomplished nothing in the sport but has a following is getting more love than him. He would go up here and say, "This what I did. I did this." Yes, you did do that, But you have to build on the Lomachenko. You have to build on the Josh Taylor. You have to build. Right now, you seem like you crashing and burning, and you're just smoldering right now because you're trying to copy Ryan Garcia, and you wanted to take it a step deeper, and for no damn reason, you wanna target, you wanna act like you're targeting black fighters for a fight. You know what I'm saying? What's the purpose of you trying to target the black fighters for a fight talking about bananas? It's beyond me. But it's easy to figure out that this is exactly what he was trying to do. And he was willing to go through any extent to get the attention. Now, obviously, one person wasn't going to stand for that. And he just felt like, no, who the hell you think you are? You think I'm going to get pressed by the Lopez's? I mean, he had every right to go press your dad. If your dad put his hands on him, he had every right. And just like Crawford said, there's no way that he would let somebody stand up there and do that to his dad without wigging out, without going off on him. All I'm saying for fight fans is out there with T.O. T.O. is loving the fact that his name is being mentioned. But let's be honest. T.O. has absolutely nothing to bring to the table that benefits Crawford's legacy. When Crawford said that he doesn't need Spence for his legacy, what the fuck you think he don't need T.O. for? He don't need T.O. for nothing. T.O. is hoping and wishing for a prayer. He needs Crawford, if anything. He want to go up there because that's probably going to be his biggest paycheck, because that ass whooping is going to be crucial. And I'm going to go on record as saying this. And it goes to his cheerleaders too. This will be the first time you see Lopez Sr. throw in the towel for his son. That shit that he went through with Kambosos is nothing comparable to if he's ever stepping in the ring with Crawford. That would be the first time your pops throw in the towel because he don't want to goddamn see you at a headstone. You've been punched in the freaking face too much, and you're trying to copy Ryan Garcia's swag. When you was on top and you had the takeover, you didn't know or think long term on how to keep the takeover going. You know what I'm saying? So you have to deal with this shit, brother. Yeah, brother. You know what I'm saying? You need to deal with that. You need to go out there and try to find all the monkeys you can and see if Caesar's in that motherfucker. Check with Caesar and see if he got a plan for you. That's what you need to do. See if Caesar can help you out. Shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. Continue to support the channel. Shout out to Tough Glove Boxing. Fire Live. I decided to do a live, with it too. And y'all continue to support the channel. I'm out.